Okay, hello everyone. Today's a really nice day. Then I know what you're gonna say. It's a nice day without a snowmobile. It's not a good day. But today is something different. I have a special guest, Rob Keller from Napa County, and he has visiting me. And I just twist his arm, and I sit down, have some chat. Okay. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
How's the driving down here?
Easy.
Easy. Good.
No traffic.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little difficult getting out of Napa into Sonoma,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that,
Okay.
easy going, man.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. So, how long you been doing a beekeeping?
I've probably been keeping bees for 20 years, 22,
Hmm.
somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna ask you some lot of questions, especially in Napa County. Is it different than in an Alameda County or Contra Costa County? Even then, in Contra Costa County different than Alameda County and San Francisco County. It's all different. But we're gonna get some details of each county and where, especially Napa County, where the Robbie is at. What is it like at beekeeping in the Napa County?
Beekeeping in Napa County is a little bit challenging because we live in an extreme monoculture. And one of the problems with that are, Napa is the epicenter for a lot of things, primarily wine and food, but it's also a little bit problematic because there are a lot of inputs in winemaking. And we're starting to see some of the effects that are on our bees for, living in an extreme monoculture. The thing is, what we started seeing over the last few years is it's very, very difficult to get your bees to build up on the valley floor. You could get them up into one, maybe two boxes, but you're not seeing these huge colonies grow, and where you're putting multiple boxes on and seeing extensive brood rearing and things like that. So we started looking at this a little closer, and one thing that we observed was that bees were entombing pollen, meaning they were covering up some of their pollen and putting it away like they wanted nothing to do with it. And we gathered some of that pollen, we sent it off and had it analyzed, and it came back to have fungicides in it. So the, to be more specific, one of the things that we're seeing is um, grapes have to worry about a mildew, powdery mildew, and one of the things they use to take care of powdery mildew is a systemic fungicide. They can either run that through the drip line and feed it directly to the plants, or they could spray it on the plant, the foliage. And we're seeing the uptake of that into the bees are picking it up from other plants. The one thing is that grapes aren't reliant on bees for pollination. Grapes are wind pollinated. So thank goodness for that, because we'd probably see, you know, a similar situation in Napa that they're seeing in the Central Valley with the almonds. If that was the case, if they needed bees to pollinate grapes, they would ship them in the same way. The migratory beekeepers would be all over Napa.
So, what do you do as a Napa Beekeepers Association in this situation, like educating members, and so forth?
Yep. Napa Valley Beekeeping Association is we have meetings once a month. We do outreach. We also one of our biggest things, like all these clubs, is that we're really driven, science driven, and we really follow the current trends of research and pass that information on to other beekeepers of all experience levels. And education for us is key. Trying to get information out to all the members about sustainable beekeeping. I think that's one of the other things about our association is we've kind of defined ourselves as a treatment-free, sustainable club. We feel like there's enough clubs now in the Tri-County area that if people want to learn more about treating for varroa mite, or if they're less interested in locally adapted stock, they can get information at one of the other clubs. So, albeit we're open to all beekeepers, but our primary focus is in sustainable beekeeping, treatment free.
Okay. What is your personal goal as a beekeeper?
My personal, my personal goal. I guess when I look at what my personal goals are, it probably all comes back to the idea of being bee centric, meaning what can I do to make it easier on the species and support them. I feel like if I can help people understand that and understand that it is possible to manage bees without chemical inputs. We're probably running about 100 colonies right now. We've been doing it for 20 years without chemical inputs. I think my biggest goals are to educate people on sustainable bee-centric beekeeping and also always learning myself. One of the things we often talk about is the idea that there are no black belts in beekeeping. You know, that it's about the journey, and if you think you know everything about bees, I would argue that you really don't know much. I guess the last piece I would say is me as a beekeeper is understanding the fact that they're really not my bees. They're not Sung's bees. They're not Kirky's bees. They're our bees. Because of open mating, we're all in this game together. So we kind of got to work together in our hive management and how are we best going to support the species.
Okay, can you talk to us about the treatment-free beekeeping and how you do it and how you manage it? And if you can give us some more specifics, if you could.
Treatment-free beekeeping. Wow, Sung. I thought we only had 10 minutes here. How are we possibly going to cover all the aspects of treatment-free beekeeping? The broad overview. What does treatment-free beekeeping mean to me? And why am I a treatment-free beekeeper? All hinges on one thing. The kingpin to treatment-free beekeeping to me is that open mating. And if you understand that she can lay either a fertilized egg or an unfertilized egg, she lays a fertilized egg, it turns into a worker, and if she lays an unfertilized egg, it turns into a drone. That fertilized egg is half her and half of one of many fathers that she mated with. If she lays an unfertilized egg, it's all her genetics. So for me to be holding up colonies that could be potentially poor genetics in managing mites, poor genetics in managing brood disease, and things of that nature, I feel like uh, I would rather not be part of that if you're interested in the species overall, because if you're medicating bees and keeping them alive through chemical inputs or uh, other means of standing in the way of natural selection, I believe that you're not doing a service to the overall. Those drones that she lays in the early spring will go out and mate with other queens and disseminating poor genetics. So for me, I've made a commitment to not treating my bees primarily for the varroa mite. I don't have problems with brood disease because I'm very clean. I don't share things between bees like honey. I don't share comb of unknown origin or comb that the bees had succumbed to viruses associated with the varroa mite. So I don't really have a whole lot of brood issues. I torch my tool between every hive I go into. I think that comes from growing up with a veterinary background and understanding what it's like to having to keep things in a sterile environment. On top of being treatment free, we're also very, very committed to locally adapted stock. And what that means to me is we don't bring bees in from out of the area. Like we don't order packages. We don't take bees out of Napa. We don't bring bees into Napa. And case in point, I'm down here today visiting Sung because I'm getting some bees for someone I manage colonies in San Francisco. Would be very, very easy for me to just take a colony from Napa and bring it to San Francisco. Albeit we're not in San Francisco right now, but the bees I'll be getting from Sung, I feel would stand a better chance because they're geographically closer to San Francisco. I feel like that's really important. And I found that we have higher success rate and far fewer colonies succumbing to problems the outside of from buying packages. Our locally adapted stock seems to be hanging in there pretty good. How do we acquire locally adapted stock? Well, we split our proven stock for one, raise queens from bees that have lived over many seasons. The other thing we do is we put out a lot of bait traps. This year we were incredibly successful. I think we put out 70 bait traps. No, 40 bait traps and caught, I think we're up to number 27 now. So we caught quite a few locally adapted bees, and we'll just see how they do. Yes, being treatment free and dealing with bees of unknown origin, we have a pretty high losses, but we accept our losses and move forward without feeling like we're going to be part of the problem in the long run. Thank you, son.
What do you give to advice to the new beekeepers or hobby beekeepers in your area? Right.
I guess my advice for new beekeepers would be really to get a good foundation of understanding about the species so you can work more with them instead of working against them. Understand their biological rhythms and things that the bees need at different times of the year. I think that that's probably one of the biggest things that we can impart on new beekeepers. For years we would go over all the different hives that they can have and the configurations of those different hives. And I feel like as we're moving forward in beekeeping, the most important thing I'm finding is that new beekeepers have a really good understanding of the biology of the species. I would also say read as much as you possibly can, go to as many lectures and workshops as you can, and spend as much time as you can out with other beekeepers, sharing your experiences.
Okay. You want anything else you want to add to it? Anything else you want to say?
Let me think. I'm just really grateful to be here and very, very honored to be hanging out with Sung. This is awesome. It's interesting how you end up making bee friends, right? I mean, I needed some bees for someone in San Francisco. I hear about this guy named Sung. I'm like, Sung who? So, I feel like we've become good friends through this. And, also, you went through the Master Beekeeping program. We both have that in common. I'm honored to be here. Thank you, son.
Okay, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.